Bang! Welcome back to the number one podcast in the world. I am joined today with social media sensation, personal trainer, and podcaster Jaxon Tippet. Thank you for joining me today, brother.
Luca, thank you for having me on, brother. Nice intro too. You make me sound good.
You should see the image we're using for you then.
Oh God, what is it? No, I'll wait for it as a surprise.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise for you. Don't worry, we've done you well here. Don't worry.
I want to ask you, what you're the number one podcast in the world. What made you want to say that? I like it.
It's just a statistical fact, man. Like,
Yeah.
everyone
So
kind of
you're-
just looks at views and streams, and I'm like, nah, it's deeper than that,
It is, man. It's all about the words that are spoken, and yeah, I actually agree with that, man. Like some of the top podcasts right now in the world, I'm like, how are they top in the world? You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It's very political. It's what you want to listen to, I suppose.
Yeah, and you know what? Because it is like I wouldn't say it's a new medium, but because it is so it's become so in vogue these last couple years, I guess. It seems like every celebrity right now is just kind of jumping onto that wave.
Oh man, I swear there's a new podcast out that like a friend that I know every single week someone's making and it's like just everyone's making one, but I feel like a lot of them aren't putting out the content.
Mm.
Like they're just kind of doing it to jump on the bandwagon or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing to say. I've got a podcast. Like, fuck, it's like, oh shit, really?
Yeah. But no man, how's all yours going?
Yeah, man, it's been a really fun experience. Like I very much started out as a home cookie cutter kind of thing, just in my garage, 2 microphones and little like makeshift studio. And in a very short amount of time, we've been able to turn it into something legitimate. How about yourself? Why did you start in that space?
With the podcast? Man, basically like we were just having a chat before on this previous convo. So obviously I'm fully tattooed. People judge and perceive me usually as something different to who I actually am inside. And I just really wanted to, like, I'm very into, mental health, mindset, helping people, all of that kind of stuff. And I felt like I couldn't get my message out there or help people as truly as I wanted to, just based off stories and posts on my IG. So I was like, I want to speak more freely and openly, and in depth, like about everything, about my steroid use, my past, and why not do a podcast? And I don't know, man. One day I started it, and obviously it took a while to get going, but it just one thing grew from another, and now we're up to 130 episodes. So yeah,
Damn, that is a lot of episodes.
yeah, man. To be honest, like I look back and I'm like, I don't even know how it just happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, and soon I'll be talking. It'll probably be like 500 episodes, and
Yeah.
But I love it, man. Like every single episode I've done, I truly have loved like every guest. So
Yeah, and I've listened to a couple of your episodes, man, and you can very much tell that it is a labor of love for you. Like it is very much so that you're engaged with, that you're genuinely interested in the people you talk to, and you're very prepared to speak on a broad range of topics as well.
100%. I think that's so crucial. Like, yeah, it's important to have a niche on your podcast, but at the end of the day, if you can provide value from, like every kind of niche, that's going to attract more audience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
so
over the long term for sure.
Yeah, that's the reason I get so many different guests on. Like, I might get a sports player on, and then I might get someone in politician, and then I might get someone in that's a scientist, because it just brings so much value to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. But on that note, you obviously being a previous athlete yourself and being very involved in the gym and very conscious of your image, I can tell that you definitely have like a special affinity towards high achievers and athletes, right? Like that's just naturally who you would gravitate towards to, because that's your tribe.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think that steers the direction of the podcast, or how do you counteract that?
As in, like, what do you mean by that?
So are you choosing to double down on the people that you're naturally drawn to, the people that would naturally pop up on your Instagram feed, or are you specifically looking for people that you wouldn't normally have a conversation with?
Oh yeah, great question, man. So no, I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm trying to look for the people that I wouldn't have a conversation with. Um, like I'm trying to attract, different people that normally wouldn't reach out or maybe follow or listen to my stuff based off just how I look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, I don't know. I think it's so much more exciting like that because I always have like that fitness niche or whoever it may be that they always associate with my page. So why not try connect with different people that have different qualities?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as respectfully as possible, man, I would look at your Instagram page or first impressions and wouldn't think, oh, this guy sat down and spoken to Pauline Hanson. But then, if they
Bro,
go
you
onto
should
the
have
link in your
seen,
bio, there it is.
yeah, you should have seen some of the messages I got when I actually put that up. They're like, because that's like the last person, like, a fully tattooed guy, that's had a steroid past and blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't think they'd be talking to a politician, correct?
Yeah.
But to be honest, man, we got along so well. I had a phone call with her after, and it was crazy, man. Like, I actually genuinely like her. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just bizarre the connections you make along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you if you asked yourself 5 years ago, you never would have seen that coming.
No way. I didn't even, bro. I wasn't even into that stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's how much you changed. Like, I would have used to look at politicians and I would have been like, "Fuck that! Like, why would I want a politician on?"
Yeah.
But now I find it so interesting and beneficial.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it's really bizarre, man. But some of the connections you're going to get along the way, I can tell you, it'll be mind blowing.
You know what? I've probably up to 20 something episodes now, and I can already start to see that evolve and become its own thing. So it is an exciting process, and to meet people along the way, such as yourself, who are so much further into it, it's always refreshing to hear that. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it will go well, man. I can tell. I can just tell straight away. Like I get a very good vibe of someone, and just the way you approach me, and you make sure like you were like very persistent on like, are we good for 3 o'clock? And like I can tell you're very dedicated for the podcast, and that's what you got to be. That's what's going to separate you from other people. Is some people just it's just like, oh, might do an episode every month or when I feel like it, but if you kind of treat it as your job, it's definitely going to go somewhere, with beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like one of the things I really do respect about you is that you put a lot of attention towards the minor things, like the way your website pops up, and like when you click on that link in bio, there's this like beautifully framed video of you, and then there's like all the avenues that you are currently working in. Because as I kind of alluded to before, it's not just a podcast with you; it's also like you've got a coaching course on there. You've got obviously your Instagram profiles and whatnot, and all the brands you've kind of collaborated with. So you've got a very high attention to detail. And I think that really plays into the image you put out there. So you've definitely got that like rock star confidence ethos about you, I guess is the best way to put it. Is that something that kind of is natural within you, or is that something that you had to build over time?
I think I've always had it, man. I think confidence is very important in life. And I say this a lot, but there's a difference between confidence and ego. Ego is being, cocky and thinking you're better than other people. That's not what I'm like. Like I'm confident is that like I know that what I do and what I say and like who I am, I'm good at, and like I don't think I'm better than people, but I just know that what I'm trying to do I'm good at. And if you're not confident, then I don't know, like how do you ever like confidence is just so huge. People that aren't confident in themselves, they probably will never excel in any area of their life because they're too drawn into being worried about what other people kind of think of them. Yeah, so I just think confidence is really important, and just back yourself and know that what you're doing is gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've just always kind of come from the school of thought though that it's like it's almost like a skill or a muscle that you can kind of develop over time. Like it's not like I think for a lot of people it might be a bit confronting to see someone who is such as yourself, who is so confident, who is so certain of themselves, to kind of see that end result and be like, oh, how did he get there? Was he born like that, or was he, as he developed that over time? And maybe for someone such as yourself, that was the case. Maybe you just were one of those people that came out and was very certain, which is a
Yeah,
good
no,
thing.
it definitely does grow over time. I'm not going to lie.
Mhm.
Like, I definitely wasn't as confident and, the person I am today, say 5 years ago, but I've always kind of had that in me. But I think the more you excel in life and the more you know your worth and you see the change that you're making, you just kind of keep evolving. And I truly believe like the sky's the limit with anything, whether that's, work related goals, fitness. Truly, man, like you really can never stop evolving in life. And I think that's the great thing about, being your own unique self is you can just literally keep evolving until the day you die.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that.
And it's sad, man, because a lot of people, they don't do that. They never tap into their fullest potential. And to me, that's not living. It's like you put on this earth to see how far you can go. And some people don't do that, which I think is just, it's a waste of life, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because you're leaving room on the table. There's definitely more out there for you. I'm curious to know though, did you like model anyone? Did you have any people that you kind of looked up to, that you read about, or that you saw on TV that kind of inspired you to become who you were today?
Not necessarily. Man, my biggest idol, and it's probably the wrong idol to say, like I say it a lot. Just, it is my idol, and I don't bullshit or talk. I don't say someone just because a lot of people look up to them or whatever. But Mike Tyson is my idol,
All right.
and if you truly look at his back end story, he kind of lived like I feel like I kind of lived similar shoes to him, like a very rough past, and
Mm-hmm.
he went out of it, and now he's got his own podcast, and I do too, and I just feel like he's just so motivational, man, and that's just who I really get inspired by, probably the most out of anyone in this world.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was one of the greatest of all time, just in
I,
his
I
domain.
believe he was easily the greatest.
Yeah.
He just, he even says it himself when he lost. I think he lost 2 to 3 fights his whole career. Those fights he lost, he said, I didn't even train for them. Like, he says it, and he wasn't even. He has this weird attitude where he didn't even really care to fight. Like, a lot of the fighting he did was political and made for money and stuff like that. If you look at it all,
Yeah.
but when he did fight and he actually truly enjoyed it, he was unstoppable. Like, I think he was the best in the world. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I get why Mike Tyson would be kind of a controversial figure to look up to, but at the same time, when you're looking purely at the excellence he was able to deliver, and then not only that, the legacy he leaves behind, and the attitudes he carries now, like there's a lot to admire about Mike Tyson. I don't think that's disputable at all.
Yeah. I see, and it's the same thing. Like, it's a very similar thing. Is he's got the face tattoo, so a lot of people would look at him as not an idol.
Yeah,
But it's the same as me. Like, people would look at me with my full body, and they'd be like, "Can that really be an idol?" Do you know what I mean? But me, it's the opposite. It's like, just because he has some artwork on his face doesn't make him any different to someone else.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When did you kind of set out to become a public figure? Like, when did you become more conscious of your social media presence, I guess?
Probably 3 years ago, man. I had a few brands reach out to me to like do, just some little, like, get a couple of pics in this and that. And I kind of, went and paid for a photographer and just did a little bit of work. And I don't know, all the reviews I got back from the brands that were messaging me were like, wow, like, we really like the content, etc. And it's like the podcast, man, it kind of just like grew as I got seen more and like people paid more attention to me.
Yeah.
And once you are kind of, because at the end of the day, like modeling, like at the end of the day, a model is you're advertising someone's product. So in my eyes, you have to be different than the normal population, correct?
Yeah.
So and this is once again, this is not saying I'm better. I have a unique look. Like if I walk down the street, I look different to most people.
Oh, you stand out for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like maybe that's why I am getting a lot more work in that scene is because obviously I just don't look like the everyday Joe. So I think that's maybe where it comes down to. And once I realized that, I was like, well, maybe I should put some more time and effort into it. And yeah, I've just really, excelled in it.
Yeah. And, like you said before, I think even if you kind of look at the high end brands, right? Like they don't, like your Gucci's or your Louis Vuittons or whatnot, they don't necessarily use people that on the street you would class as beautiful, right?
100%.
They've definitely, like there's definitely something about them that kind of stands out. It's like, oh, I wouldn't expect to see that person on a Louis Vuitton ad, and that's why they're there.
It's crazy, man. Like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like with some of the big designer high-end brands, you look at the people on them and the people that do like the runway modeling and all that. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
And they're the top of the top in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there a specific like level of success that you set out to reach where you could say like, oh, I've made it now? Or
definitely not, man. I don't think I'll ever say I've made it. And no, seriously. And I think that's what separates me from a lot of people is some people, they might, they might go up a position in their job and to them, they've made it in life. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But how have you made it? You can do so many other things in your life. So I think if I say I've made it, that means to me that I'm never going to keep attacking or trying to overcome different obstacles, which is like, to me, that's not made it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you saying, if you said you've made it in life, it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm never going to do anything better than what I'm currently doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, through kind of traditional means of education, though, we're all kind of taught to, stick to a safe job, build up a retirement, and then when we're 60, we get to live on an island, right? And so there's kind of like that everything's done once you're 60 and, you get to live the rest of your life. But I think for anyone that's actually kind of, been on holidays for an extended period of time or, been away from work for a while, after a while, like living on the island doesn't seem as appealing as what you'd assume it is.
So true, man. We think much alike, but it's so true. That's great concept you brought up.
Yeah, it's just like you think that's what you want, but what you really want is the growth, the expansion, and especially if you can work on things that you're genuinely passionate about, like your fitness or about your image or about your podcast or whatever else it is that you've got going on. I think the growth you get from that is actually where the juice of life is.
I totally agree with that, 100%.
So you obviously have a bit of a background in athletics. I mean, I've heard you mention before that you've done like AFL and basketball, I believe, as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that were my two main sports, man. I absolutely love sport. Actually, probably something I might go back and start doing now that I'm kind of shifting out of that, even though I never competed, that bodybuilding kind of scene.
You're taking a step back from the bodybuilding scene?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm not worried about I don't know how closely you follow my stories, but I'm not, like, ever since I've kind of got off the steroids and all of that, I'm not worried about my body image. Like, I'm more focused on downsizing, health, being athletic, fit, as opposed to being big, muscular. You know what I mean? Unhealthy, all that.
Yeah, I can appreciate that for sure. But was there a certain like event that occurred for you that made you say, okay, like I'm done with this bodybuilding thing? Because for a lot of people, it does become an obsession.
Yeah, just mainly the health side of things. It's just, when you're obviously injecting steroids and you're eating 8 meals a day and you're not doing stuff with your family and your relationships because it doesn't fit the lifestyle, it becomes an unhealthy habit. And it's just like, how long can you do this for? And I just kind of realized it's just not for me. Like, fuck this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
To be honest, I don't think it's for anyone, but it's just a phase of a life you go through, if that makes sense.
I think for professional bodybuilders in particular, there's only a certain window of time where they can really compete. Like
Yeah.
they've maybe got from 25 to 35, let's say, to like really compete on an international level. I might be a bit off on that, but that's kind of what I'd assume it to be. So
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
So, you know, like I can see why that narrow mind, like I've only got 10 years to get as good as possible. You would have to cut out every other distraction possible. And it'd be the same for a lot of other sports. Like for an MMA artist or for a boxer or for an AFL player or for a rugby player, you know, you'd have to be laser focused on it.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Like anything that you want to do like really well at, it realistically only is a very short time span in your life that you could achieve that. And the reason for that, because like you're competing against everyone else. So say you're 50 and you're trying to be, a professional, NBA player, it's not realistic. So that's the reason why.
Yeah. Yeah, there's physical limitations to it.
Yeah.
So if my question to you though is if you could be like the great, and I'm going to throw boxing in the mix as well because I know you're a Mike Tyson fan. If you could be the greatest of all time at any one of the disciplines between basketball, AFL, or boxing, which one would you choose and why?
Oh damn, I like this. You put me on the spot. That's man. You know what? I'm gonna say basketball.
Yeah.
Reason why is because they live the life. The amount of money you get paid as a professional NBA player is way superior to AFL. I think the lifestyle's better. I think the lifespan's a bit longer. And the only reason why I wouldn't pick boxing is because it comes with a lot of side effects. Like obviously your face is going to be beaten up, and it's a very tough and hard sport.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the ramifications of boxing off like onwards after your career is so grave.
Oh, 100%, man. Like I reckon it's the toughest sport out there. What, people can say what they want, but to truly, prepare for a fight and be actually good at boxing it's a whole different level.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what makes boxing unique as well, because you could definitely make a case for MMA as well, but I think what makes boxing unique is that it's purely striking. It is just shots to the head and the body.
Yeah, 100%. It's I know what you mean. MMA is another 100% tough sport, but it is boxing. It's just straight on. If you get knocked out, you get knocked out.
Yeah, that's it.
There's nothing else to it, really.
There's no subs. There's no
Yeah, it's literally just like it's just a raw sport. You know what I mean?
100%.
What would you pick? What do you actually like? What do you?
Look, I'm a fan of athletes. Like I'm a fan of people that excel. So if you kind of take out the boring ones, like this might piss a couple people off, but if you take out like golf or something like that, then I'd be honored to be the greatest of all time at anything. If I had my pick though, I just think there's some street cred that comes with being a fighter that you don't get with anything else.
Yeah.
Like you walk down the street and if people recognize you, they're like, "Oh, that's him."
Yeah, it's kind of like you're kind of more like respected, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. That's not to say being an NBA player doesn't though.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It'd be cool to be like the toughest man in the world, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody would want to fuck with you. Yeah.
So you mentioned before that you're kind of taking more of an emphasis on health, like from what I understand, like a more holistic view now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's exactly, definitely everything. Just longevity, man. Like, I want to basically live as long as I can. Who doesn't? Like, I think that's the main thing. You don't want to fade away, 20 years earlier than you could have.
Yeah. But I assume you're still like hitting the gym like at least an hour and a half a day, and like you're still physically active, maybe just not lifting as heavy or as frequently as before.
Yeah, so definitely, I definitely still train every day. It's just different. I'm into a lot more running now,
Oh, okay.
which
Interesting.
is obviously that's just a whole different look. Like you can't be running, every day and be massive. So that just takes it out already. And just like the endorphins you get off that, I absolutely love.
It's so underrated.
Yeah, man, it's kind of like honest to God, it's something that involves absolutely nothing. You can do it anywhere in the world at any time. It doesn't cost anything, and the feeling you get off it is incredible. So I think it's a pretty cool thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm 100. I love running. I've always been a bit of a cardio head myself.
Yeah, man, I've literally just got into it probably the last month, and I'm doing it every day now. Like I'm addicted.
Are you doing like long distance, or are you going more for sprints?
No, it's not long distance, but I'm going. I'm doing like because I'm doing it every day. It's a bit different, but I'm trying to just do at the moment about 6 to 7 Ks a day.
That's a solid amount, man. That's respectable.
Yeah, it's pretty hard too because obviously I am still like relatively big. Like I'm still 95 kilos. So it is a lot of body weight to run on. But yeah, man, I'm definitely not sprinting. I would call it just more of a moderate pace, and fuck, it feels so good. Hey,
yeah. There's that runner's high that people just don't get it until you do it for a while.
Bro, like I put a story up the other day, like just running on the treadmill, I was like endorphins through the roof or whatever. And people like, really? Like I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm like, nah, trust me. Like I used to think the same. Wait until you actually do it for like over a week consistently.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you'll love it. Like I guarantee you.
Yeah, like when that blood's just like the first 5 minutes always sucks. I don't care who you are or what you say. The first 5 minutes always suck. But if you can get past that mental block and you like hit that flow state, like that where you're kind of there but not really there, and you're you're in 100%. A different zone.
It's like you can't tell someone that though until they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you would have used to tell me that, I'd be like, there's no way. Like this sucks. But I was on the trendy stay and I was like, I think I was 20 minutes in, man. I was like, I didn't even know what I was like. I didn't even know I was running. Like it was so weird. Like I was just, my head was off in the world. I think I was listening to a podcast and I was just like,
yeah, like
it literally felt like I was kind of just sitting on the couch. It was so weird, man.
Yeah, and then you get those freaks of natures like those David Goggins that do like 100 fucking mile marathon a weekend for 8 weekends straight, and you're just like, oh damn, there's levels to this game,
bro. And see, that's what I really like. I'm starting to get inspired by like that now because I know like running. Like I think the most I've practiced 10Ks, and that was hard, man. Like, and then you look at people that run for like multiple hours on end, and it's like, damn, that's respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's literally international marathons that will go for 24 hours straight.
That's fucking insane, man. Like, so I don't know if because you haven't been following me for that long, but that's actually probably one of my biggest goals this year is to do a marathon. Yeah.
Oh, that would be sick.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to do that.
Yeah, I'll be watching that closely. That's been something on my bucket list as well for a while. I just haven't committed to it yet. So I'll be interested.
You should do it, man. We should do one together.
I'm down, man.
Yeah. I think it'd be just like such a good goal and achievement to set out and do. And I don't know, man. I just couldn't think of anything better to accomplish.
100%. We'll maybe talk a little bit off air and we'll find a couple around in Australia, up in Queensland or down here in Sydney. And we'll look at something like that. That'd be sick. I'm so up for it.
Yeah, it's just something to really strive towards too. And at the end of the day, you're going to achieve it no matter what, because a marathon, it's not like you have to do it at a set time. So if you had to walk a little bit of it, you walk. But it's just a great goal to set out and try run the whole thing consistently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got a very jam-packed schedule, don't you?
Yeah, I'd say it's. I don't know, man. Like I know there's busy people than me in the world, but yeah, I do fill a lot of my day with a lot of work-related stuff.
Yeah. And I think with that, like you have like this responsibility when you work out as well, you know, because you can't be, you know, tearing hamstrings or physically exhausted or having pulled calves when if you're working with a client the next day, or if you have to do a photo shoot, you know, like you always have to be ready for something. Do you have like a strict recovery process that you go through, or how do you ensure that you're always in like peak condition for the next day?
I don't really, man. I think, to be honest, one of the most underrated things, and everyone knows about this, is just sleep, man. I think if you get a good solid 8 to 10 hours every night, I don't think you can really have anything that can beat that in terms of waking up and feeling fresh the next day.
Right.
Yeah, it's so underrated, man. But it's so, you know what's really funny, man? All the little simple things that are underrated are usually the most vital, beneficial things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if you eat good whole food, you have lots of water, which is free, and you have lots of sleep. Man, that's your three best recovery things, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's like people overcomplicate and they're like, what supplements should I take? What should I, and yeah, that has its time and place. Like, I do take a lot of different stuff, but I don't think that's the game changer.
Yeah. No amount of BCAAs is ever going to replace sleep.
Nah, but another thing I do a lot of, and I'm pretty lucky to have access to it. I've obviously got a massage gun. So I do get that on my body every day, even just a little bit on my legs, around my glutes. And I think that makes a massive difference into just getting blood through your body kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but other than that, man, nothing really, a lot of magnesium before bed. Yeah, that's about it, man. What about yourself?
I don't do this enough, but I'm a very strong advocate for stretching. I think stretching is so important.
See, that's something I lack in.
Right.
And the reason I lack in it, because I'll be straight up, it's boring as fuck to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
So I'm like, why? Because I realistically, say I finish my workout, I'm like, why do I want to sit here for half an hour and just stretch when I could do something else? And then I always just put it aside.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people with that mentality. And look, I'll own it. Like I think like that a lot of the time as well, and I know how good stretching is. I think maybe because I come from a bit more of a sports orientated background. So I played soccer for about 10 years, and there was always a very strong emphasis on stretching and dynamic stretching and static stretching. And, I noticed that when I did do it and did it properly, my performance would be up by about 10%.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely. If my legs were limber and I was feeling light because I'd spent an hour stretching before a game, I would be significantly better. I'd get less tired. I'd have more elasticity in my legs in particular. And so I think as you go further down this running rabbit hole, you will find days where just stretching is, it just becomes part of your life, whether you like it or not.
When you say stretching, do you mean static or the opposite, the other stretching?
It depends. So before a run or, before any kind of physical activity, I will do dynamic stretching. So for people who are listening who don't know, that's kind of like when you're moving with the stretch. So it might be like swinging your leg up and down up against a fence, or, stretching out your calves, but doing it with motion. And that's kind of the warm up procedure. And then after, the workout, I'll do a bit more static stretching. So I'll just be sitting there and, if you're doing static stretches on your arms, it'd just be something like that where you're holding the position for an extended period of time.
Yeah, interesting, man. See, stretching is like it's a whole thing in itself, and it's like, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not that flexible, man. Like, I ask anyone that knows me, I really am not like that at all. But, I would recommend it. I think it would, really benefit you, especially if, like you said before, you are a heavier guy and your orientation was more towards weightlifting before. I think it's going to prevent a lot of headaches for you later down the track.
You convinced me into it. I'm going to get into it. See, this is what I love about podcasts, man, because I talk to so many different people. I learn so much different stuff just off connections, you know what I mean?
I'm curious to know about magnesium. Why magnesium?
Oh man, magnesium, it's probably the most underrated supplement in the world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously connects to all your cells and it's good for stress, sleep, so many different things, man. But magnesium you actually can't have enough of, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, like, you can overdose on certain vitamins. Your body can, vitamin C and magnesium, your body can just constantly keep absorbing, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it's just something that and vitamin C.
Yeah,
Man,
vitamin
like
C is crucial. Absolutely.
I would have, and obviously, you know what I mean. Some people can't afford to have heaps or whatever it may be, but if you have the access to have lots of vitamin C and magnesium, I would virtually, have as much as you want each day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So try have a high dose of magnesium before you go to bed, and I don't know, man. Like give it a solid week. It's I firmly believe in it. All my clients are on it.
Yeah. Are you like taking creatine or anything like that as well?
Nah, man, I'm not like I used to be. Obviously, the biggest meathead into all those supplements, but I'm not into it, man. Like I don't think they make that much of a difference. I take BCAAs purely just because of flavor, basically. I love sipping on a flavored drink while I train or etc. I take protein powder obviously just because of convenience when I don't like when I want to just have a shake or put it in my oats or something. Um, and besides that, I don't actually take anything. Like obviously, I take all my multivitamins, fish oils, but I don't actually take any supplements.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just man, they're so cost effective. I don't know. I just don't think they're worth the money you pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, if you have endless money, yeah, throw them in, but not a lot of people do.
Well, I think as well, a lot of the fuel we need as human beings is just found very naturally and organically, right?
Food.
Yeah.
100%, man. It's most supplements you would take or buy, it's found in some form or version of food.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah, I think there's probably like obscure cases like vitamin D, which naturally we get from sunlight or something like that. But the vast majority, yeah, you could find in food for sure.
100%, man. Yeah, it's really funny, and that's why I'm so passionate about nutrition. That is, it's so much more than just what people believe. Like it's so in depth, if that makes sense.
So you must find like the coaching side of things very rewarding as well then, like taking on clients and helping them go through these transformations.
Oh man, it's the best. That's why I do what I do. Like, when I see someone's life change or a testimonial or some feedback, that's my kind of drug, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's the best feeling ever when you help someone change their life.
How do your courses work? Like, are they over a period of time or are they per class? Like, how do you format your workouts and your relationship with your clients, I would say?
I just do 12-week phases of training and nutrition.
Yeah.
And that's just full coaching. So it's like a weekly check-in, a weekly phone call, like video guidance, full nutrition plan training.
Oh, so it's pretty hands-on.
Yeah, it's pretty full on, and basically they just follow it to the T, and then we'll touch base obviously a lot more than once a week, but once a week we'll do like a proper check-in where they'll send their body shots again.
Yep.
And then like some feedback, how they're feeling, etc. And then I'll take that all into account, and if I need to change something, I'll change it. If I don't, then we just stick with the same plan.
Damn, that sounds pretty involved because, I've worked with some personal trainers before, and for a lot of them, it's just, here's the program, do it.
Yeah, bro. To be honest, man, like I don't want to shit on anyone, but I think 90% of coaches out there are bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't really care, but there are some good coaches, and I feel like I'm one of them. And I don't know, I genuinely care for my clients and the results they get. I don't just send them a plan and don't talk to them again.
And if people do kind of want to get in contact with you about training and stuff like that, like how would they go about it?
Yeah, just through my Instagram, man. Like as you said, on my website, my bio, and just a simple DM. I pretty much will get back to anyone. That's my goal.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, so we've spoken a little bit about the coaching and the modeling aspect of things and the podcasting as well. If you could only do one for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, damn. That's something I've actually been kind of thinking in my head as of late. Like, which one should I prioritize more?
Really?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, you should really prioritize something that you know what I mean? Like, you should really prioritize on one thing more than the other.
Yeah.
But right now, I feel like I literally kind of do, you know, about the same effort on each of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I don't know. To be honest, I'd have to just say coaching, because modeling is only like sports, you know, it's only a short time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, you're not going to model, you know, when you're 50, 60, unless it's something in that niche.
Yeah,
so
this is like for
modeling
Viagra or
is only
something.
really why you have that look kind of thing. So I would have to say online coaching is, I can do that until the day I die, and it's something I am pretty passionate in.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
What's your goal with the podcast? How big do you want to get it? Who's like a huge guest you want to get on, or do you have any goals for it?
It's kind of hard, man, because like I already am the #1 podcast in the world. So how do you set goals outside of that?
I love it. I love the confidence. See, it's good.
Look, I think
but any big guests you want to get on?
Look, I think if you ask anyone in the podcasting space, a figure like Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan or you know, anyone of that stature, of course you're gonna want to have them on.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson would be amazing.
He would be sensational. I feel like I'd have to prep for a month though.
Fucking oath. You'd be that scared talking. You'd be jittering and it'd be that worth
but I don't feel necessarily that I have to have anyone on. You know, like
I like that.
I don't feel like I have to have Joe Rogan on. I don't feel like I have to have Jordan Peterson on. It's just selfishly for me, I think I would enjoy those conversations a lot more.
100%, man. I think, to be honest, out of anyone, obviously Joe Rogan, that's obviously a given, but I asked a lot of people that, and Jordan Peterson probably comes up the most, to be honest. It's quite funny, yeah.
All right, beautiful. Listen, man, I hate to wrap this up short, but I've got the next guest kind of waiting outside for me. So if people kind of want to find you, kind of want to connect with you a bit further, how would they do that?
Yeah, brother. So just at I am Jaxon Tippet, all one word is my IG.
Yep.
And that is definitely the best way to find me. And if you want to send me a DM, I will 100% get back to anyone. If you want to even just have a chat, or, you know, mental health, or you want just any little advice on fitness or whatever, I'm happy to help in that kind of way. You know, I don't just charge for everything I do.
Yeah. You are very generous of your time. You are very generous in the information you share as well. I'll definitely advocate for that, for sure.
No, I appreciate that, man. And I just want to say, thanks, Luca, for having me on your podcast. I love going on other people's and, you know, getting to know them a bit more. Hopefully the audience gets a little bit of insight out of this. I'd love to get you on my own, you know, someday if you're keen.
Oh, anytime, any place. I'm always down.
And man, I just once again, just keep consistent with your podcast, keep chipping away, keep getting different guests on, keep it, you know, exciting and new, and I think big things will happen for you, even though it's the biggest podcast.
I appreciate that, Jaxon. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, my man. We will definitely be in contact, and I guess we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much, brother.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, man.
That's it, guys.